I don't mind sharing with you guys.
To win the whole thing?
To win the whole thing. Because I know that you guys won't do it. I will do it.
Welcome in to the Golfbet Betsuite. What a sensational third round we've had at the FedEx St. Jude Championship, where we've had a roller coaster ride of emotions, not just for bettors, but for the players out there. Tommy Fleetwood, he's your leader. One-shot lead, having a bigger lead at some point. I've got my guests here again, obviously, here at the suite. We've got Rick Gehman, Ali McCann, Pat Mayo, and of course, Chris Moneyman Mills. Now, we do have a big competition we've been talking about. But before we go into that, we have to just talk about the tournament that we've got here and what's been happening and what's going to happen ahead. Okay, so we've got a leaderboard that has Tommy Fleetwood, 14 under. Justin Rose, 13 under. Scotty Scheffler, 12 under. 11 under Spawn and Novak. And then maybe the last few in the mix, 9 under. Griffin, Bhatia, Fowler and Kirk. I need your thoughts on where this competition is going after this third round.
Well, it's interesting the way that it played out in the final moments, because there was a chance we were going to get a Scotty Scheffler, Tommy Fleetwood final pairing. I think that would have been quite difficult for Tommy. Now he gets a friendly pairing with Justin Rose, and just the way everything kind of shook out throughout the day, right? You've got Tommy Fleetwood, who starts with a big lead, runs into trouble early, rebounds a little bit, but at the end of the day, he's going into Sunday with a lead.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as a woman, I like to follow my heart. And so, of course, I'm going to be rooting for Tommy tomorrow. But it's a little complicated. Like I talked about, he came into this week kind of with a different tone on this course. I felt like he was really going to show out, and he certainly did in the first two rounds. He kind of took a step back today. But as much as I want to follow my heart, I feel like I need to follow my brain on this one. And we've been in this situation. We know what Tommy does, so I don't know.
We'll get to that in a minute. Pat?
I don't know if the friendly pairing is actually good for him or not, because now he has to hear roars coming from in front of him in the group, and then the pressure kicks in for Tommy Fleetwood, and that might be the end of it. If you're playing with him, maybe at least you know what you have to do the whole time. It's very similar to the Open when Rory was playing in that final group with Vic, and then all of a sudden guys stormed them from behind because they thought they were playing match play, but they weren't. But we all know JJ Spawn is going to win, so it doesn't really matter.
Chris?
Yeah, I mean, speaking of storm, we weren't able to do a show last night because of the storm.
Bathed in sunshine today, though.
Exactly. So, but what we were going to discuss last night was who are we going with 36 holes to go? Was it going to be Scotty or was it going to be Fleetwood? With that little change at the leaderboard at the end of the day, now we have very similar odds for Fleetwood or Scotty. Those seem to be the two guys that we're going with Rose in third. I mean, trick me once, trick me twice, but I mean, I've faded Scotty enough times to know it hurts when you see him all week long, making those par putts, getting up and down when nobody else would typically get up and down. Fleetwood has never won. We've seen this time and time again. Hard to fade number one in the world.
There's two guys inside the top 6-ish right now that are losing strokes putting for the week. Their ball striking has been immaculate. And it's JJ Spawn and it's Ricky Fowler, out of all people. And Spawn, it comes and goes. He can make a 50-foot putt to win the U.S. Open, then he can start missing 3-footers. I've watched him do that this week as someone who is very invested into JJ Spawn. But with Ricky, we know that the putter has been pretty good now for about 6 weeks, that if he can continue this sort of ball striking, get it back going tomorrow on the greens, he is someone I have my eye on.
Oh, I love it. I love it. You mentioned the rain, obviously, Chris, too, right? I have to say, big thanks to our crew around here. We were huddled as in the masses in the middle of this thing. Lightning, thunder, whatever. Before we could get out of here, we obviously got to safety, but it hit so quick yesterday. Yeah. And we had those issues that we have to give them a big thank you. And of course, now we're in the sunshine. We're talking up the show today. I want to go more in depth. We're going to look at that leaderboard again, and I'm going to add the odds, okay? So you've got the leader, as I said, you've got Fleetwood. He's plus 160. That's a short number for a guy, as we know, hasn't won on the PGA Tour, 7 wins on the DP World Tour, but hasn't won on this stage here. So 160 is tough. One shot ahead of Rose, who's plus 450. Obviously Scheffler, who everyone knows, world number 1, 175. And then we drop to at least 12 to 1. 12 to 1 for Spawn, 18 to 1 for Novak, and the 9 unders are anywhere between 55 to 1 and 80 to 1. So we have a big discrepancy there. If we're starting on zero, because remember, we're going to get to our big competition they've had all week later with different strategies. We're starting on zero. Where are we looking because of these odds for tomorrow?
So odds makers making this kind of a 3-horse race at the moment, and I don't care so much about Tommy Fleetwood's inability to win. You said it. I mean, 7 wins on the DP World Tour. Those count. You have to close the deal. Those absolutely count. The big problem lurking is the big man. It's Scotty Scheffler. 67 on Thursday, 66 on Friday. 65 on Saturday. I can do the math. 64
Yeah, tomorrow.
on Sunday. He runs away with this thing. It's just unbelievable the way he just takes every opportunity. His distance. I feel like I say it. I'm a broken record, right? His distance control is better than everybody else's in the world. He gives himself nearly 18 12-footers, and by the end of the week, he's the guy holding the trophy. It's an unbelievable situation, so I'm not diverting cash in any other direction.
It's funny, too, because his approach play wasn't great today, and his around the green, when you look at the numbers, they weren't great today. Why was that? Well, he ended up in a divot on 15.
Yeah.
And then he came up way short and still almost made the putt. He was short-sided. I believe it was on 13, or it wasn't on 14, because 14's behind us. But he hit the perfect shot, and it just clipped the sprinkler head and stopped. What did he do? He makes a 27-foot par putt. He's third in putting for the week. If he starts ball striking it like he does, it's game over.
He never makes two mistakes in a row, or he never two bad breaks in a row. He always gets himself right back on track.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so hard for me to sit here and not back Scotty tomorrow. Obviously, like, the odds for these guys aren't great, but I have to believe that Scotty's going to be the guy that's going to be coming through, as much as I would love to see Tommy. I mean, like, I know you said that Tommy's been in this situation on the DP, but Scotty's been in this situation on the PGA Tour how many times?
This ain't the Desert Dubai Classic.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of my
He
point
slayed
here.
Rory, he slayed others. I get it, but
Yeah.
Before I get your comment, Chris, I'm going to ask you in this context.
Yeah.
We talked about the number, 175.
Yeah.
Okay. Is plus 175 at this stage something to, go for?
So going into a final round, you need to evaluate the board, right? You need to think, who do I truly think is going to win this tournament? If you don't think that Tommy Fleetwood is going to pull it off, who is the next guy on that board that you think will? So is it Scotty Scheffler? If that's the case, then your lead is minus 12, right? So then you start looking at the value, the plus 8,000s, the plus 100 to 1s. Those guys are only 1 or 2 back, or 3 back, or 4 back, instead of 7 or 8, because Tommy Fleetwood, in your perspective, is not going to win this tournament. He's going to come back, or someone's going to surpass him. So when I'm going into a Sunday, when I'm doing my research and making my picks, I'm still trying to find that value. But for me, in my, the way that I do things is, you don't need to, obviously for this competition, this is what we've been doing, you don't need to put your bets in the night before.
Yeah.
What I like to do is see how the course is playing for the earlier guys. Where are the scoring holes? Where are we finding the trouble? And then evaluate during the tournament, during that final round.
You make a great point there. People tend to think that they, will make blind bets, if you will. They won't watch play, or they'll do it the night before. They're not trying to get as much information as they can. Now, that's fine if it's a few dollars here or there, but if you're trying to be profitable, take in all the data that you can, but also all the feel, right? What's happening out there, the weather, the wind, everything else, guys who play in those conditions. Yes.
Well, one thing you can do, and I know that Rick will be able to do this probably overnight for us. You hit me back with the information in the morning. See if I can win this
I'll invoice you after whatever this request is.
That's fine. I'll slip you something under the table. However, we can take a look at the pin positions from today.
Yeah.
And why did certain people play well today? Why was it today that their approach play was off the charts? And if tomorrow the pins are on the opposite side of the green, all of a sudden maybe it's a whole different set of players that you're going to see spike in approach and have those birdie opportunities to make a run.
Okay, we'll talk again too. We mentioned the small number. Are you suggesting, and correct me if I'm wrong here, are you suggesting maybe putting a chunk on a small number who you think is going to win if it's Scheffler, but still maybe throwing just a little sprinkle on these 8,000s, 9,000s if you think they're half a chance?
I mean, we've seen it before,
Yeah.
right? A lot of times, you can look at the statistics, my stat guys can keep me honest, but more than 50% of the time, the winners are coming outside the final pairing, which means that people are coming from behind and winning. We see it week over week. 4 back, 3 back, 6 back, 8 back, right? So again, I put the emphasis on value, but you need to understand the situation. There are guys that just statistically play better on Sundays, but it's important to know how well do they play on Sundays when they're in contention versus 12 behind, right? Guys that guys are going to go low tomorrow. A Xander, he's not in contention, but again, he's going to go well. Harris English loves Sundays, but he's 3 under. Completely, he has no chance. But when you're looking at your bets and you're looking at the value, you need to consider that data, but also look at them, how have they played during this week, and then apply that to your mindset.
Of course, you mentioned like a Harris English, you're expecting to go well tomorrow. He might not win this tournament, but there are still place markets, live place markets.
Exactly.
You can make a move into the top 10, top 20, whatever it is, so you can apply that across the board.
Well, if we're thinking about who could actually win this tournament from behind, you say the guys win from not the final group all the time.
Yeah.
Scotty's not in the final group, so they give him the big favorite right there.
I was just gonna
But
say
if it's not Scotty and it's not Tommy, Like, what's the score that someone would have to get to win?
Yeah, the math starts getting pretty tough,
Yeah.
right?
Like, do the nines have a chance here? If Fleetwood shoots 1 over tomorrow, do the nines have a chance?
Okay, so here's the problem. The problem is if the guys are at 9 under and there's a 62 or a 63 available, then Scotty and or Tommy and or Justin Rose are shooting a 66 or 67, right? If you're beating the
That's
best
still
players
tough,
in the
though.
world,
Yep.
right, by 3 or 4 shots on Sunday, that's the math that's going to have to happen.
Yeah.
So they get boxed out pretty quickly. So I tend to think that this is a 3-horse race. It is Tommy Fleetwood, it's Scotty Scheffler, it's Justin Rose, maybe a JJ Spawn.
Novak and Spawn, I think, are live here just because there is a 63 out there. We see it every year.
Yeah.
Every day out
We've
here,
seen it
there's
every
been a
day.
64, 63, that if they're the lucky ones who get the hot putter going, that all of a sudden you could end up doing that, and then you have to pray that Tommy shoots 69,
Right.
Scotty shoots 67, and just on those thin margins. But now we have to ask ourselves, are those odds enough? And the answer is probably no.
I will do this tomorrow with my 5 units. There will be a bet on Ben Griffin. I don't mind sharing with you guys.
To win the whole thing?
To win the whole thing, because I
Okay.
know that you guys won't do it. I will do it.
Now I will. I'll box you out.
He is a Sunday guy. He has played so well this year, specifically on Sundays. I just think that, at the end of the day, it's hard to win on tour. Fleetwood knows how hard it is.
Yeah.
I just don't think you can exclude him from the list at -9.
I like
It's 50 to 1.
I know, and I like what you were suggesting too, though. Like, if we just magically took Scotty Scheffler out of this,
Yeah.
and now we look at the 9 unders, way different story.
Exactly.
What if we look at a market where we take out Tommy and we take out Scotty Scheffler?
That is one that
now we're
some
talking
of you
about
guys
gas.
have talked
now
about
it's
already.
wide open.
Now
because
it's wide open.
I have no faith that Justin Rose is just going to stay where he is. Like, he might shoot a 66, good for him, and win the tournament.
He
but he can
flagged-
shoot.
He
He
flagged
was
everything,
He
and then
stepped off every shot
Chili
at least
dip.
twice today.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're going to
there's-
get a little bit into him in a bit when we get into our competition because of the money man over there. But right before we move into that competition, I want to bring you in because you mentioned something that caught my ear a minute ago. You were talking about how betting with your head versus your heart. That is the quintessential problem that all, especially casual sports bettors,
Yep.
have. So can we talk a bit about to these people out there that just want to do it for a bit of fun? They want to root on their player. They want them to go, well, how do we make sure they don't just waste their money on the emotional play? Come on, Ali. This is your guy.
You want me? Oh boy, I don't know. I don't know if you. I'm always going to want to bet with the heart, but I feel like I've learned too many times that that's just not the
Burns
move
you,
to
right?
me. Yeah, it burns you, and it gets old after a while when you invest in the guy that you want, but he doesn't show up for you. So I don't really know what to say. I just feel like it's not the smart move.
Use the emotional hedge of it. Bet on the person you think is going to win. And if your guy wins, well, I lost my bet, but my guy won. I can walk away.
That's
with
what
it.
I do with.
Yeah,
that's what I do with
that's
rugby
how
and other
we-
sports.
yeah.
Football, it's like, I
life
want my
hedge.
team to win. I'll bet on the other guy. That way, I'm up no matter what, right?
Yeah.
But it's obviously, as a data guy, you still have favorite players. You have to tell us who they are.
Yeah,
we know you do.
I try to. I think there is I think there's a big difference on how you do this. If you're Money Mills, you should not be like betting with your heart, right? He's got units out at all times. He's record keeping everything. He's got like every number, and getting the better number matters a lot to money.
Yeah.
If you're a recreational wager and you're getting in here on Sunday and you just want to sit down and watch the final 3 hours of the FedEx St. Jude and have a sweat, I don't care who you bet.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
doesn't matter. If you're really doing it for those purposes, that's the time to do it with your heart. Do it for entertainment, not if you're money.
Do you ever bet with your heart?
No.
But you can
My
think
heart
of-
is cold.
You can also think of it in the context
Most
of,
men.
I'm going to tune into the final round tomorrow. There's going to be a 4-hour window where I'm going to watch my guys and sit down. I mean, you go to the movies and take your wife, that's $100 right there. And there's no chance of you getting any sort of return for that. Like, this is an entertainment proposition. For you sitting down, having some emotional investment, and it's fun to have the financial investment in it too. There's nothing wrong with doing it that way, but you have to know that, like Rick said, if you're tracking it on spreadsheets, it might not look great at the end of the month. Because that's not using your head to bet. But if you're doing it for entertainment purposes, 4 hours well spent.
We've talked about him a lot, but I just want to be clear. Is there any world for any of you that Tommy Fleetwood wins this tomorrow?
I ran a simulation right before we came on, and it gave him right around a 58% chance to win this tournament.
Yeah.
Now, does the simulation know?
No, it doesn't.
Yes.
No, it does not
It
know
just
about
look-
Tommy Fleetwood.
Yeah.
You didn't watch the Travelers, your
No,
simulation?
no, I did not hook the computer in for that.
We talked about this a little bit on the bet stream earlier. You know, Tommy Fleetwood has gotten off to one of the best starts of his career. When you start getting into career highs you would expect some level of regression, right? And that's what the first 2 rounds were for Tommy. No matter how you looked at it, whether it was relative to par, whether it was strokes gained, it was either the first or second best 36-hole start of his career. So it's difficult to think he's not going to play worse than he did in the first 2 rounds, and that's okay. But now the margins are getting smaller, and the best guys are chasing you down. So obviously there's probably a 40% chance that Tommy Fleetwood wins tomorrow, maybe something like that. But
in our hearts, it feels like
if you
1%.
if you only give me one crack at it, he's not going to be the guy.
But you need to be able to correlate with that with the odds too. Like if you just want to play the Tommy won't win market.
Yeah.
I don't even know what those odds. I don't know if they're offering those odds right now. That'd be a very popular bet. I feel like tomorrow. I feel like we have talked about Scotty, we've talked about Tommy, but Rose being there, Rose feels like a big swing here because he's won a major, he's won tons of tournaments, and he saved himself. It looked like it was going to come completely off for him, and he got it back on the rails. A birdie on 18, a birdie on 16, after it just wasn't going well. Sometimes that's a part of a tournament. Like Tommy did that early. Like Tommy went off, but he was able to claw himself back. And I don't know how this bogey. How do you always find that the bogey on 18 affects someone going into the next day? Because I always have the theory that the guy in contention that makes the bogey on 1 in the final round, well, pressure's off. He feels like he's out of it, free to swing away, and then they start making birdies.
The bogey on 18 is tough.
Yeah.
The bogey on 18, you don't sleep well, dinner doesn't taste very good, you feel like you've given one away, and now you feel like you're trying to make it up immediately on Sunday. That's what we talked about earlier. Is Scotty Scheffler almost exclusively finishes his rounds on a high note, whether it's a birdie on 17, a birdie on 18, maybe he birdies 2 of his last 4, something like that. I think actually the second round was maybe the exception to that. I think he made a late bogey, but he is almost always finding a circle on the card at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I would say that we got to give him credit. Like I saw him fall off the rails today. Obviously, I was cheering for Rose, which we'll get into. But he bounced back, right? He went through some adversity, and he was able to pull himself out of it. And I think this birdie right here on 16 from 14 feet was big for him.
Yeah.
Granted, he bogeyed, but if you told him Thursday morning when he teed off that you have a 1-shot lead with 18 holes to play, I think he'd take it. So I think you just got to block that out. He's done it before. If Tommy Fleetwood is going to win, it's a great course for him. I think he has a great chance.
You
tomorrow.
made such a great point. We were watching this, and he was hemorrhaging early, and that par putt he made on 3 or 4 from 9 feet, whatever it was like,
par 3.
Stop the bleeding, get this thing back on the rails, and let's see if we can get some of this
because
back.
it was a horrible mistake on 3. I was out there, the par 5, to put it in the water when he had a massive lead at the time. And that's when you thought, okay, big trouble for Tommy. But the fact that he made that par putt, he striped his next drive down into the fairway and rode that roller coaster. If he doesn't make that late bogey, our whole discussion is, what a way to turn this around. He's got a 3-shot lead, whatever it is, and we're starting to think, is this his time? I think it's that context that you talked about, all the others that we can't forget, but also the other players aren't forgetting what he's done before.
Yep.
And that's a big part of this too, right? Like they're coming hunting for him.
Yep.
All right. Well, we've got to move on to the reason you guys are here, the huge Road to Sawgrass competition. You've been having units to play with all week. We've got a situation where you've got 5 units left, plus all your futures that are out from early in the week and during the week. But we have a leader now. Rick, you've got a slight lead. You're in the positive, which is great. You've got about a 5 or so unit lead over Ali, who's a little bit ahead of Pat. And Chris is pulling up the rear, but still with a shot, okay? We're going to go into where you've been over the last 2 days and how it's going to affect what you do in this competition. Now, remember, they're trying to beat each other. They're not necessarily doing these bets for the tournament if they were starting on 0. They're trying to beat each other. You've got a lead. Rick, you had Cantlay over Young today to build that lead, and I think Akshay Bhatia over Clark.
Yeah, Wyndham Clark. I've picked on him 3 times this week. 3rd time's the charm. Finally got it done,
And your futures are still in the mix are significant.
Yes.
Right? You have, obviously, Scotty to win. I think you got on him at 360 or something like that.
After the first round.
Cam Young, a top 10. Needs a bit of a move, but it's 6-1. That could pay off big for you. Now, you've got Foxy, the Kiwi, to beat the Aussies.
I'll tell you what.
Still a few backs, 3 backs.
After the first round, the fact that this is only a 3-shot gap feels like
only
all
behind
gravy.
Cam Davis.
This is extra credit here because we wrote this bet off days ago.
And then, obviously, Scheffler, top 10. Your Henley, top 20 parlay. Henley needs to make a move on Sunday to get that. You also had 17 under or worse, but still in the mix. Yeah,
still very much in the mix. 262.5 over, so 17 under or better for the winning score. This is very much a completely like siloed competition that we are in.
Make sure we're clear on that.
It's all about game theory going into the final day.
Correct. So, number one, there are a lot of units that are going to get resolved on Sunday, which not only the units that we have not placed yet, but the units from before the tournament, and as a lot of us have done, added futures throughout the week. So an audit is in place because I've got to figure out pathways that I can kind of try to box some of these guys out. Like, for example, I know we'll get to it, but Pat's got a JJ Spawn outright that would be scorched earth for,
it ends
for all of us.
If that hits, it's over.
So I've got to start doing the math of, you know, can I get in on some JJ Spawn, still have enough units left to potentially pull this thing out. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of work. I assume that they are going to continue to try to be aggressive and ramp up the volatility a little bit. I don't want to veer too far from my strategy. Try to just pick up, have a winning day, take my chances. I'm heavily invested in Scotty. I'm comfortable with that.
So you're going to play like Scotty or like Fleetwood?
Oh, God. I hope I can play like Scotty, but I don't know. It's the first time I've been in this position. We'll see what I do. So I think that I'll see if I can box any of these guys out just a little bit. I'm not going to be able to box them all out, and then hope I can get the job done.
All right, you've got to give us a little more. You've got to give a little bit away. I know you mentioned you might try to box with Spawn, but is there a player you're looking at that you probably, you know, look to put some units on?
He's not going to tell you.
No, I'm not going to tell you. But no, definitely JJ Spawn would be a big one. Ali has a couple of pre-tournament futures that I'm a little bit.
Only one is.
Like
well, Fleetwood's already basically cashed, right?
So
that's going to cut the lead in half straight away.
Her standing on the leaderboard is better than it appears because she has already. We are, you know.
3
Tommy
units on
is not gonna
Fleetwood
fall
top
out.
20. Even if he doesn't win, he's not falling out of the top 20.
Right. So Pat mentioned Ricky Fowler. Pat mentioned
Don't even
Ricky
put that out
Fowler.
there.
He was Ricky was the first name that I wrote down this morning, and I never got any money on him today. And I loved his stat profile, and I still love it. If there's a way. I'll go look at like what his top 5 number is or something like that, or maybe the winner without market.
The winner without is right up, I believe, right around 18 to 1, 20 to 1 right now, and the top 5 market for Ricky is actually minus 125.
Okay, so I'll there are definitely a couple guys like that I'll try to find ways to incorporate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Ali,
Oh,
second
boy.
place. I want to say, really well done. You had a couple of, you guys call them goose eggs, I say duck egg. You had a couple of zeros, bagels, whatever you want to call it, on the board early. Today you had a winning day.
I did.
Today you made sure that you got on the board, you climbed up, and you are, as I said, the closest to Rick, but also, as I said, we never count our chickens, but we're kind of counting half our chickens here with that top 20 finish.
Yes.
So with that in mind, right, and knowing these guys are going to swing for the fences, what strategy are you thinking?
Yeah, you're kind of in an awkward spot.
Yeah,
so
it's a weird.
Are you going to play to just beat Rick, or are you
I
going to
don't
play
know.
to potentially Chris or I going big and passing
Well,
it?
that's the thing is you guys have gone big all week and have sucked. So I'm not really concerned.
I was 2 putts away from this being over already.
Okay, that sounds
I'm not
like a
really
bad-
Here we
concerned.
Here we are. So I'm close.
And if your auntie had whatever, she'd be your uncle. But yeah, we'll keep going.
I'm not really concerned about them. No offense, guys.
Okay.
Wow.
I might go like mid-range. Before all of this started, I said that I expected Rick and I to be the ones coming down the stretch, and that seems to be the case right now. So I don't know. I have no idea. Like you said, I have to sit down and look. I really liked what I saw from Griffin today. He cashed me 2 bets. I think Rick, you and I were talking about this earlier, that it was a continuation of the great year that he's had. And Money, you also said, like on Sundays, he shows up. So I might look into something with Griffin. I like Fowler as well. I missed out on him today. I was a little nervous there because I haven't bet Ricky Fowler in a long time. I didn't really know what to do with that one, but we'll see. I'm nervous though.
Any chance that we get a like plus 2,000 scenario that you're going to put on the board? You know, like whether it's a parlay or a swing for the fences, long shot winner. You think that any chance you go big just like these guys?
No.
Okay.
No, because I think I saw them do it all week, and that has just made me a little nervous to go all in on that for the final day. Like this is the moment right here.
Yeah.
So you need to play this smart. And to me, playing smart isn't going.
Well,
big.
you're going to have to make up at least. So if Scheffler wins, Rick gets another 4.
Yeah.
So we have to, if we're going to count your Tommy
I forgot
as
you
a
had
top
Sheffield.
20,
Yeah.
so Rick's actually ahead of me by 10 now.
Yeah.
So now so he's really
I
ahead
don't
of you
think
by
the
7.
Tommy
Yeah.
and the Scotty are as
They're not
done.
but let's say that Scotty wins. So
Yes.
I have to think about what you also. It's
Correct.
not just you're
Yeah.
where you're at, and you have 5 more to go.
Correct.
I'm expecting you to come at me with JJ Spawn. If you just bet on him to win,
Right.
you can box me out on Spawn. So
Yeah.
what do I have to do now to figure out how to get back ahead of you? So I'm gonna have to go into the lab and
Yeah.
cook something up here to
Look
figure
good.
out how I can allocate units properly to get the return that, if I hit one of those and Spawn wins, can I still win?
This
Right.
is like Pat knows that I know that Pat
Yeah.
knows that I know.
And I
Correct.
also
How
have to
many
figure
levels
out-
do we have to
Because
go into
Pat,
this?
just so everyone knows, it's what, plus 2750 or so units
That I would get if Spawn wins.
Spawn wins
Right.
the tournament because of your pre-tournament Spawn bet.
Yeah.
So
Now I don't think that's going to win, but it's probably going to cause.
it's out
Rick,
there.
But it's
It's-
probably going to cause Rick to waste one
It's
of
going
his
to cost
on
me a
Spawn.
unit.
Yeah.
It's going to cost me a
just to
unit.
box out that bet. So
Correct.
now what do I do with my 5 to get back ahead of Rick? Do I have to play like Scheffler is going to win and think about his total that way? And then I have to start making bets around that to go even harder. So if I try to do a 3-leg 2-ball parlay
Yeah.
that pays 8 to 1, all of a sudden now I need to make that 16 to 1 and make it a 4-leg parlay because I still need to clear Rick if everything ends up hitting and Scheffler wins.
is there any chance you'll get Bridgman back on your side after winning your match? So you had Siwoo come through against Bridgman.
No.
This was not a good wake-up
This-
call.
No.
This week.
Again,
So we were
the
here.
restart was the
We've
problem.
talked about the gods had the pressure on Jacob Bridgman. 8 feet 9 inches for par. What do we hear? Oh, we're going to call it for the day. Maybe we'll just call it for a little bit. Now he has to go think about that putt. But it's no fun because he gets to go back to the range and practice that putt for 30 straight minutes. Now he needs that. He's sitting just inside the top 10. If he misses that putt on the restart on Saturday morning, all of a sudden Cam Young has a chance to be inside the top 10 at the end of the round, and that was an 8 to 1. And then I had a 4 to 1 on JJ Spawn to be inside the top 10. He's already at T11. So one guy falls. That man being Jacob Bridgman. Both of those cash for me, and now I'm sitting here way out in the lead.
Yeah.
I
Or at
love-
least
I love-
right
Or
with him, right?
Rick.
Yeah.
I love Jacob Bridgman.
So it's
New
gonna
favorite
be-
player.
He got me some back today, but I still have a few floating out there. Like Corey Connors has been abysmal both on and slightly off the green so far this week. Where does he sit in approach? He's number 2. If he can just figure out how to putt tomorrow and he shoots 5 under, all of a sudden he's inside the top 20 again. And I have a Corey Connors, Cam Young, top 20 parlay that pays 8.5 to 1. There's a full unit on that, or maybe it's 1.5 units. We'll see. I have to go check the stats afterwards, but all of a sudden that can be back in the mix. If Xander can shoot 5 under again tomorrow and get back inside the top 10, I have a Spawn Xander combo that pays almost 5 to 1. So I still have different outs on the board. Problem is, as you said, like if you had Rose live during the first round or the third round leader today, you would have hedged on Tommy Fleetwood. I'm not going to have the ability to hedge once I start. Like if I see Xander gets out, 5 under through the first 11 holes, be like, okay, I don't need to make up as much ground as I need here. Now I can allocate my units elsewhere. I don't have that luxury. So I'm going to have to step up, be like the guy in Major League, point to the rafters, and just swing away.
All right, we're coming to you, Money Man. Look, we had a bit of fun with the goose egg, right, that you've
Yeah.
had. We've been laughing a little bit, but we're going to get real now, okay? Because, yes, you haven't got anything on the board. You still have some futures going. But today, specifically, was a bad beat for you in that you grabbed Rose to be the end of round leader
Yep.
at 10 to 1. And through 8 holes, was he 2 up? Right?
Yeah.
Now, in this competition, you couldn't do anything. You'd allocated your units. But the real situation here is, and let's educate the people out there,
Yeah.
you would have been able to guarantee a victory in this case. Explain how.
Yeah, and I don't know which camera's on me, but if there's one thing that I can provide in this show is to help educate bettors actually be profitable and actually make money. So in this situation, Rose was up 2 through 8 holes. At that time, he went from plus 1,000 to minus 200. At that same time, Tommy Fleetwood went to plus 280. So when we say the word hedge, what people maybe don't understand what hedge means. Hedge means guaranteeing yourself a win. So in this scenario, Fleetwood and Rose were way ahead of everybody else. So in this scenario, what I could have done was place units on that plus 280. So regardless of what happened, and we saw what happened, unfortunately, with Rose
One hole later.
Yeah.
losing by 1, for the first round lead, I could have guaranteed myself a win with Fleetwood at plus 280. So it's really important that when you're betting, to think green is green, profit is profit, especially when you have something of significant odds, right? If you have the opportunity to hedge or to guarantee yourself a win, it's really important to do that if you have the ability, doing that live.
And it was significant. I mean, we were sweating it all day. First off, I mean, we released the best bets, and it was a minus 130 matchup, a minus 120 matchup, minus 140 matchup, 10 to 1. Justin Rose to be the third round leader, and we're sweating bullets over here. So it was a fun sweat all day.
There is one thing to note, though, when we start talking about hedging, because it's not like you just took the guy who was currently in second place in order to be and lock yourself in a profit. It's because they were up by so much on the guy in third. Because I've seen people do this before, and then they end up losing both. Their original bet and their hedge, because they hedged on the guy in second when the guy in third was a shot behind anyway. So when you start thinking about hedging in this context, it's like if Tommy, if you have Rose as an outright winner here, so this would be a very difficult one tomorrow. So pre-tournament, he'd be around 100 to 1. Let's say he jumps up 2 strokes after 4 holes. Now, you're going to have Tommy at pretty decent odds, probably like 2 to 1, and Scotty at probably plus 150. And you can try to bet both those guys. That doesn't mean someone's not going to storm at the same time. And you have to start thinking about cutting into your profits because, listen, sometimes you're going to lose, like I've been doing all week, and sometimes you need something big to come back and get you back to profitability. You always have to be aware of the rabbit that is coming from behind. And in this particular circumstance, money was going to be fine with this one, with Rose or Fleetwood. It's not like Scheffler was going to shoot -9 and come back and storm it. So you just have to be aware of that you're actually hedging. You're not just giving yourself a bit more padding on 2 bets you could lose.
Correct.
Look, have you done it before? Because I have.
Yes. Look,
you learn the hard way.
Golf is the most volatile sport out there in this case. So, if you're talking football or something with 2 teams, the hedge is way easier, right? A team gets up big and you might want to change the line or whatever else, you can hedge much easier. But when you're talking golf, you do have to factor in other players and the course and how much water there is and what could happen. We've seen guys lose a 4-shot lead on 18 in golf, right? Like it's tough. So you do need to factor that in. But it is an important lesson that, in real circumstance, money would have cashed today because he would have hedged that with Fleetwood, who ended up being the leader. Now, he obviously wouldn't have got as much as the 10 to 1 that would get Rose, but he still gets a victory.
Green is green.
Green is green, as he says. Now, you do though have, what is it, Novak in your without Scheffler Fleetwood market?
This is another
20 to 1 or something, 21 to 1?
Yeah, so this morning I was looking at guys that I like, and again, just looking for that value. So on that board without Scotty and Fleetwood, you had Kitayama, you had Novak, you had Rose, and I may be missing a couple others. Those 3 guys were, plus 650 without those 2 guys. And then I looked at Novak, who was starting -8. And he was at plus 1,400 without those 2 guys. But significant value for a guy that he's been playing well this week. Had a quick chat with him. Super good guy. And I thought, maybe it's a hard pick or not, but it's just great value. So if you look at that now, he's what, 4th? The 2 guys that we've been talking about the most are the ones that I don't have to worry about tomorrow. And if that hits, that's 21 units right there. So I'm not out of this, but also I will defend myself a little bit as well. Yes, I'm down, but I've been, for the purpose of this show.
Let me bring you in on this. Let me say this. So it doesn't sound like an excuse or whatever. We have been sort of egging you on and pushing you to do the 4 and 5 and 6 leg parlays. The things that are really hard to hit. And we know that parlays is not a profitable way to try to be a significant profitable sports bettor. It is a way to have a bit of fun, have a lottery ticket like playing Powerball or something. Now tell us how your picks could have been profitable even though they're not.
Yeah, so back to my bettors. Again, this is Education 101. Again, I want you guys to leave having watched this show. The goal is to give you guys profit. So over the course of the last 3 days, I took matchup parlays every single day. They all lost. But if you were to have taken those all in singles, we've been hitting at 67%. That is very important to understand because if you play those all as singles, you are up money. You are 17% higher than that 50% number. So that is significant when you're looking to be a profitable sports bettor. When it comes to golf, the goal is to cash something every single day. You may not win every day. However, if you are above that 50% number, you will be a profitable sports bettor.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, parlays are fun, right? But
and we're competing.
Yes, and you're competing in this context.
And so, like day 1, when I lost out on the 21 to 1, when Hall lost to Akshay.
Yeah.
I know that if I hit that in the context of this tournament that we're doing, I now become very difficult to catch the
pressure
entire
is
time.
just
and it just puts
ramped
all the
up.
pressure on you guys to have to hit a 5-leg parlay to come and beat me. So there's a bit of strategy to what we're doing here versus what you would actually want to do in real life.
So potentially, what he's saying out there is when you see his 15-leg parlay tomorrow, you go swing it for the fences.
Yeah.
Bet some of them as singles, and you might, cash some actual coin,
Yep.
right? Yeah. All right, so we're sitting here, as I said, it's going to be a big finish tomorrow. You guys are all on Scheffler to win. Is that where we're at? If
No, JJ Spawn's going to win.
I'm resolute. I've been here since Wednesday night, riding this, flying the Scheffler flag. There's no reason to back down now.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't want to comment on this yet. I need to still
There's no more time. You have
I
to
know,
comment now.
I know. I want
I should have said
Fleetwood.
one word, who wins. Yeah. And see how we go.
I want Fleetwood to win. I really do. So I'm going to think about this decision. I know you guys are thinking I'm a little crazy on that, but I'm going to think about it. If not, I will sway Scotty.
Because think about this.
If he wins,
if
that
Fleetwood
would be...
wins, and if you went 5 units on Fleetwood to win tomorrow, you might have something.
Yeah, we whiffed Spawn. We whiffed.
We
If
whiffed
Novak
Scheffler.
does it, we whiffed Scheffler.
You would end up winning.
It would
Because
actually.
you would leap Rick and we wouldn't win.
Or
unless we're
even-
doing head-to-head parlays.
You could even do 5 on him to win plus 1 matchup to boost it
Yeah.
a little bit.
Fleetwood
Something,
winning is not
if
great
you
for
really
us.
think Fleetwood could win, that is a chance for you to get these.
I know.
Fleetwood to win in the without Scotty market.
That should be a little easier, right?
You would hope so.
Yeah.
All right, we'll have a resolution for everyone tomorrow. We'll see who wins. We'll see who goes to TPC Sawgrass and gets to bring a fan, a friend, or someone along and have that great round there. We'll also see who wins the FedEx St. Jude Championship and who is moving on in the FedEx Cup playoffs. Make sure you check it all out. Make sure you check us all out. Golfbet YouTube and everywhere else on the socials. We'll see you there.